Okay, go ahead, sir.
All right, so if I could get a motion and a second to approve last month's minutes.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Do I got a second? Well, I will second if no one else will. So I know a lot of you weren't here last time. So I will second. All in favor, raise your hands.
Do we have quorum as far as city members?
Yeah, so we have a quorum as far as GRC members. So city, all elected officials are not. I think my understanding, I'd have to go back and check, is government officials and staff are participants, but not voting members, if I remember right. So
That's how I remember it.
yeah, so there's not a huge quorum needed for the committee to like prove the minutes and so forth. If we're not, especially if we're not voting on, you know, supporting a bill or that kind of thing. So. All right, so all in favor, say aye or raise your hands. All right, anyone opposed? Speak now, forever hold your peace. Okay, so moved, approving of the minutes. So next we will go to the elected official reports, and we will start with Congressman Harder's office.
All right, well, thank you. So I'm sure you're aware, have heard that the FAA grants have been awarded to both the Modesto and Oakdale airports. So that's a huge win for the Modesto airport. It's to enhance protection for their runways. So that will come in great use. Also, thank you, Trish, for sending out the invite for the webinar that the Congressman will be hosting on Monday, April 19th from 2 to 3 p.m. If you have not already signed up or know anyone that's interested in that webinar, please forward the information on to them. If you've missed that information, please let me know and I can get that to you. Also, the Biden administration released a new California-specific fact sheet detailing the dire need for infrastructure investments in the state. We have 119 structurally deficient bridges in our community, one so broken that school buses are not allowed to drive over it. And there's some highlights that we have if anyone's interested in receiving those in regards to California fact sheets regarding the infrastructure package. Just recently, Congressman Harder voted to pass paycheck fairness, workplace protection bills, and both have had bipartisan support and would bring immediate help to Valley workers. These bills will provide immediate help to working families across the Central Valley. Again, if you ever have any issues, concerns, or questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You could reach us at 209-574-5458. Thank you so much for having us today. And again, just to note, Bree Gonzalez from our team will be sitting in on these meetings moving forward.
Thank you, Helen. Anyone here from Assemblymember Gray's office? I didn't see Lisa jump on the call. Okay, same thing with Heath Flora's office. All right, anyone, I didn't see anyone here from the supervisors of the county either. So Mayor, would you like to say a few words before we hand it over to Joe?
Sure. We just, as a council, as you know, we are a new council, but we are working on finding a date for a council development workshop. We are still waiting to hear about funding for the federal stimulus funding from the American Rescue Plan, but look forward to making decisions on how we can improve our city with it. We've been having multiple committee meetings where we've been getting a lot of great input from the community and from the council members about that. We will, at our next council meeting, give another update on the police accountability initiative. And this upcoming week, we have multiple budget workshops planned. So that's what's coming up on the horizon. I'll just leave it there.
Thank you. And Rosa, again, welcome. Thanks for coming. Would you like to say anything as a city council member as well?
Thank you for that opportunity. I'll just defer to the mayor's comments. Thank you.
All right, great. And again, thanks for both of you for coming. In the past, we have had mayors and council members attend this committee over the years, and it's always just a great working relationship. It's great to see when you guys are willing to take time out of your days to come and visit. So thanks.
You're
for that.
welcome, and thank you for providing the opportunity. We appreciate it.
So before we get to Joe, we're going to give Stephen a chance to catch up on all those emails he sends Joe and kind of highlight what the League of Cities is concerned about.
Well, at least that tells me Joe's at least looking at them. I don't know if he's actually reading them. At least he's aware of them. I want to thank you, Joe, for doing so. I appreciate that. If you could have a talk with the rest of the city managers in the division, that'd be great.
Every single one, Steve. I wait for him to come in, and that's my priority for the day.
Great bedtime reading, huh? Thank you, Joe. So I'm not going to cover all these topics on here. I'm just going to hit some of the hot spots. But if there are any of these bills that you feel that you have any more interest and you'd like some more information, please feel free to reach out to me and I give you further information. As the mayor just mentioned, we are looking at there's different names for it. Some call it the ARPA or ARP, whatever the new federal funding is coming down. We don't have the actual final numbers yet. We're still waiting for that. We actually had a call with the Treasury Department the other day. I believe that some of the mayor may have been on that call. And so we still couldn't nail them down as to what the final numbers are, but these are some of the numbers that we're looking at previously that the cities in our areas will be receiving from that plan. We're hoping to get the federal government to base these revenues on the 1920 projections instead of the 1819 actual revenues. That would actually help us and probably give us a little more accurate numbers and what we would need to look at covering up some of the deficits that we have. There's a lot fewer strings attached than there were with the CARES Act. The CARES Act, the money can be only used for COVID-19 related expenses. These can be used for many more other purposes besides that. A couple of them are for business and rental assistance, but you cannot use this to pay down any unfunded liability for the pensions that your city might have. You're not allowed to supplant your revenues. Something we don't know about yet is some cities dipped into their reserves to help cover some of the expenses that they had, and we don't know if we're going to be able to use those. The federal funds to be able to refund those surpluses that we had taken out of the funds we taken out of our surpluses. So we hope to find out more of that when we get the final guidelines from the Treasury Department. We're hoping to be able to receive these funds. I understand they have to be paid out by May 10th, but the cities do have to register for these funds, but a lot of them they had already registered because they had registered for the CARES fund. So hopefully we'll get that money as soon as possible. If there are any questions on that? Okay, if not, I'll go ahead and move on down the list. So AB 68. So currently, a developer has the ability to, if the planning commission denies their development, they can appeal it to the city council. But if the city council denies it, then they actually have to go to court. Well, this is looking at making it easier for developers to be able to get by the general plans and the housing elements that the cities have developed. And these are plans that are developed by elected officials and appointed officials. from the citizens of the city. And what this would do, they could have said could go to they could also still go to court, but they could go to this committee established by the state to appeal those decisions. And we just really feel like it's a way of getting around. They're just, hey, you know what? Even if this doesn't comply with your housing element or your general plan, we still feel that because of the need for affordable housing, we should be able to move forward with this if the state agrees. So this is something we are proposing. I have not asked for any letters. We've not been told to ask for any letters yet, but I may eventually come to the chamber and ask for possibly getting a letter opposing this bill. AB 339. So what this does is it requires that the cities and counties and boards to maintain the same ability for citizens to be able to make public comment, either via the phone or via the internet, as we've done during the pandemic with the governor's executive orders. We completely support that, but our concern is you also have to provide translation for any population that makes up 5% or more of that jurisdiction. And this isn't just for then, we're not talking about somebody emailing the city clerk and saying, hey, I'd like to have some translation capabilities for such and such, at this meeting, such as that ahead of time, so you can provide that. This has to be there all the time for every meeting that you have. And you also have to be able to provide, as far as we believe, you'd have to provide your materials in those languages also. So whether it be your PowerPoints and your handouts or whatever else you'd be presenting during the meeting, those would all have to be translated into these different languages. And so we are opposing that. But like I said, I don't know if we'll be asking for a letter on that or not. AB 339, that's what I just did. AB 361, this just codifies the governor's executive order, the one we're just talking about related to the Brown Act. During this to be able to, cities and counties be able to do this during a statewide or local emergency, and we're supporting that one. AB 1163, so this would repeal the ban on soda taxes. As you may remember, what happened a couple of years ago was that the legislature passed, allowed cities and counties to be able to enact a soda tax. The American Beverage Association, the California Grocers Association qualified a measure for the ballot. Because of that, the legislature came to the table with them and they negotiated a deal so that the organization would drop the ballot measure, but then the state passed the legislation saying that cities and counties, I think they're not allowed to adopt any soda taxes for up to 10 years. But this would repeal that, which means there probably would be another ballot measure introduced if that does become law. AB 1188. So this prohibits local government. Is there a question? So 1180 would prohibit cities and counties from imposing or collecting licensing fees from restaurants during the pandemic. And then if they had collected any fees, those would have to be fully refunded. AB 1401. So this is just saying that local government could not impose minimum parking requirements on any new development if they're within a half mile of walking distance of public transit or located within a low vehicle miles area. So like with the new transportation center that's going in downtown Modesto, if there's any new development that was down in that area, the city would not be able to impose any minimum parking requirements on that development. SB 10, I'm going to request a letter on this from the council and from the chamber if they feel that's appropriate. So what this is saying that if the city is, and I don't know if this is private companies also, like repo companies use this sometimes, but if a police department are using license plate recognition data, and if it doesn't come up on a hot list within 24 hours, then they have to dispose of that. Our concerns are a lot of people, we don't even know what crimes are committed within 24 hours. And a lot of investigation has to be done with these, with this license information. And we feel like this is just too prohibitive on our police departments to have to destroy this data within 24 hours. And so we are opposed to this, and I'd like to request that the chamber send a letter on it. If they choose to do so, I have a sample letter for them to do so. And then SB 556, I want to thank the chamber for sending a letter on this of opposition. So this is, if you remember a couple of years ago, the telecommunications companies went to the legislature and got a law passed that will allow them to place telecommunication equipment on any city-owned structure, whether it be a light pole, a stoplight, a public structure, anything to do. And it got to the governor's desk, and Governor Brown vetoed it at that time because he saw that it was taking away local control. Well, the FCC in 2018 narrowed the prohibition or the rules, the guidelines for cities and counties to be able to restrict these telecommunication equipment. They still gave us the ability to work as far as the design, the fees that we can charge for that. Well, this bill overrides those recently enacted FCC rules. And so again, I want to thank the Chamber for supporting us in our opposition. And then one last one that this should really affect the business owners in the city is that SB 1383 was passed in 2016. And the CalRecycle was tasked in 2017 with making the guidelines and the penalties for complying with it. What it is to reduce green waste in our landfills. And what it requires businesses and residential customers to have a separate container for that green waste. And the problem that we have with it is that they have in 2017, they waited until November of 2020 to give us these guidelines, and we have to meet these requirements by January 1st of 2022. We feel like the time period is just way too short. There aren't enough facilities in the state to be able to process these green wastes. And so we're working with Senator Laura on a bill, SB 619. Right now, it's just a spot bill, but we're hoping to possibly get a 1-year extension on the requirement for us to establish this. And the CalCycle has decided to split the cost up for this program 50-50. So 50% of the cost will be borne by the businesses and 50% of the cost will be borne by the residential. This, I feel, I'm concerned, is really going to hit our area hard. We have a lot of food processors in our area, and they're going to be required to meet these new guidelines. With that, that's the end of my report. If there's any questions, please ask me now or feel free to contact me after the meeting. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen. And go ahead and just send us, Trish and myself, a list of the ones you want us to support or oppose, and we'll send that to our Chamber Executive Committee, who will make that decision.
Thank you very much, Sean. I will.
All right. Kirsty, you joined. If you'd like to introduce yourself, and we're making everyone tell a fun fact about themselves.
Hi there. Sorry for being tardy. Kirsty Boyette, Executive Director of the State Theater and Chamber Board Member. Fun fact about myself is I was conceived in Israel and born in England. And my father is not military. He is an aeronautical engineer, and he was working for El Al Airlines at the time. And I am a British citizen and an American citizen. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Wow, we have 4 nationals on the call, ice skaters, a pretty interesting Friday. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, great info.
So now we get to the meat and potatoes. Our speaker, Joe Lopez. And Joe, go ahead and take it away, talking on the future challenges and opportunities for the city. And I guess start also, just tell us a little bit about your background and how long you've been the city manager.
Sure. Thank you for having me here today. I really appreciate the opportunity. So a little bit about me. I've been with the city since January of 2012. I used to work in Sacramento County before coming to Modesto to be the Human Resources Director. I did that for a little while, then got promoted to Deputy City Manager. Then when the former city manager left, I took over on an interim basis and was officially appointed city manager April 1 of 2018. So I've kind of been in the city manager role for about 4 years. I love the job. It's a challenging job for sure, but there's also rewarding. We get to work with a broad spectrum of our community, with our businesses, our neighborhoods. And I just really enjoy the challenge that it brings. And there's something new every day. We do like to say we age in dog years here because we always seem to have very interesting challenges that come up that we get to try and solve. So that's really the fun part of the job and also part of the challenge. So and I like to kid Steve, but Steve provides us a lot of great information. He's a great resource for us, and I do appreciate all that he does for us in the advocacy work, because we are all in this together, and no one entity is going to solve anything, and we have to work together collaboratively in order to solve some of the challenges that we face as a city and really as a region. Most citizens don't know where Modesto ends and unincorporated areas begin or other cities begin. And so really working together collaboratively is vital to everything that we do. So I'm going to share a quote. And when I took over in 2017 and the interim basis, I actually did a presentation to the chamber. And I started out with the quote, and it's one of my favorite quotes, and I like to talk about it a lot. And it's by a gentleman named Max Dupree. And if you've never heard of Max Dupree, he is the son of the inventor of the Herman Miller cubicles. And so he has just become he's a writer, and he goes around talking about leadership and things of that nature. And the quote is, "We cannot become what we want to be remaining what we are." And what that means to me is we need to constantly be looking at how we can improve the services that we provide. It's very easy in government, and we hear it a lot. Well, this is the way we've always done it. Well, that's not an acceptable